we're going to discuss about the how machine learning and deep learning will be helpful in precision health technology. Okay, let's understand about the why that is needed. So machine learning has attracted now considerable research interest towards developing various kinds of smart digital health devices, applications, or smart digital health interventions. And these interventions have the potential to revolutionize healthcare and lead to substantial outcome for patients and medical professionals. Okay. So the healthcare sector has long been an early adopter of the various kinds of technological advances. And these advances, these advances like machine learning plays a key role in many health related issues, including the development of various kinds of new medical procedures, the handling of patient data, records, and the treatment of various kinds of chronic diseases. Okay. Like one very famous computer scientist, Sebastian, already has told that in his article. That is a very interesting statement that given by Sebastian. That is just as a machine made human muscles a thousand times stronger, machines will make the human brain a thousand times more powerful. Again, I am repeating that particular statement. Just as a machine made human muscles a thousand times stronger, similarly, machines will make the human brain a thousand times more powerful. So today, in like everyone faced the different difficult situation in this pandemic. So now we are realizing that more technological advancement is required for medical domain also. So that what the human being will be having better health conditions.
Ajas sir,
Yeah, am I audible, sir?
you are audible, but your slides are not changed. It is your first
Okay,
time.
okay, I'm changing, sir. Okay. So basically, what AI will affect physicians and the hospitals as it will play a key role in the clinical decision support system for enabling earlier identification of diseases and treatment plans to ensure the optimal outcome for the better and wellness of human beings. Okay. So basically, before going to discuss about those, what is happening here? Like everyone since last 1.5 years, everyone faced that particular situation personally or through their known persons. Okay, so what happening here? Suppose that the some person is affected through COVID. Okay, infected and having some symptoms like fever, cough, like that. Okay, and then that person is gone for testing. Okay, and that person's testings comes after like 1 week. That everyone observed that what in the some cases that it comes in 4 hours, 5 hours, but due to huge volume of data collection regarding test report of COVID-19, that maybe in the some places that comes after 14 days, 10 days. So if in such scenario, if the report is delayed, then what? The persons who has given that particular sample will be in the touch of the various persons in the society. So that is spreads. Okay. So we're not able to control that particular in such scenario. So in such scenario, what we need a system that will help in early predictions of such kinds of diseases. Okay. So here machine learning will going to help us in such scenario. Like you can see the some headlines of newspaper. Delay in COVID-19 test reports can lead to the spread of infection. Staff crunch, high volume of sample delay COVID reports. Okay. COVID reports. And due to this what? That disease spreads more in the society. Because that person who is given the test, whose report coming after 1 week or 10 days, if but not in every cases, in some cases, so that spreads because that particular person is in contact with the different persons in family and the society. Okay, and after that, if person's report is false negative, okay, then also it is possible that that RT-PCR test, according to that particular newspaper, uh, fails in the some 30% cases. Let us suppose that it may fails in 10% cases. So also what that is propagate from 1% to 1%. So we need some kind of system that maybe helpful in early predictions of diseases. Okay, so in my talk that I will going to discuss about the digital health, machine learning, what are the different applications of real world applications of machine learning, then various kinds of machine learning techniques, and then thereafter what I will discuss here two case studies, how machine learning is helpful in digital health, how we can develop the applications. For one I will discuss here for diabetes prediction and another one for Alzheimer's disease predictions. And then furthermore, what I will also discuss about the what are the various tools and techniques available for developing such kinds of digital health applications. Okay. Now, so what is digital health? So digital health, what that means that using technology to help improve the individual's health and wellness. Okay, it can cover everything from wearable gadgets to ingestible sensors, from mobile health applications to artificial intelligence, or through the different kinds of robotic carer to electronic records. So like that, what you are wearing the some gadgets like some that recording yours, that observing your heartbeat, your temperature, your blood pressures through different kinds of wearable devices. And even our mobile apps are also capable to record the some health condition of a particular human being. So basically what these technologies improving some person's health and wellness conditions. Okay. So applying such kinds of wearable devices, wearable gadgets, that digital transformation through the recent technologies and tools to healthcare sector. Okay. So in layman term, what we can say that digital health is to improve the some person's health and wellness conditions. Okay. Digital health technologies can change the way preventive and diagnostic treatment, okay, through the following ways, like that will use to reduce the healthcare cost in long run or in the some 20 to 10 years span. Okay, through which we can tailor made machines and medical solution to individual patients needs that we can provide. Improve patients engagement, standardizations of various kinds of medical procedures, okay, and other things like. Okay. So digital health technology will be beneficial for us and is important for us through following ways, like preventing disease, okay, helping patients monitor and manage chronic diseases, lowering the cost of healthcare provisions. Okay, through using the digital health applications, we can gather more data related to the health. That already I told you about that through mobile apps or through wearable gadgets. Okay, and basically what those wearable gadgets monitors the activity level to our blood pressure. So even nowadays IoT based devices that also monitoring the your oxygen saturation level. Okay. So basically what those applications, those gadgets allow individual to improve their lifestyle. Because what if every day that your whatever the gadgets you are wearing, that observing that your daily or hourly blood pressure and all, then what you can analyze that. If somehow if it is increasing from a particular threshold level, then what you can consult to your doctor. So such kinds of digital device, what it is helping in improving the lifestyle and to maintain the good health for a long period of time. So basically what digital health tools help us to identify new illness due to like blood pressure, due to blood sugar level, etc. And identify new illness or worsening of existing ones. And if that is detected by enabling doctors to step in earlier during the course of disease. If it is predicted earlier, then what we can consult to the doctors and take the necessary precautions and medications so that that will be stopped in a early stage of that particular. Okay, so the digital health not only help to improve the quality of life, but it would also help in reducing the total cost of a particular person's healthcare in his or her throughout the lifetime. So other way what we can say that the digital helps in trimming the bills for the patients or the families. Okay. So these are the some chronic diseases like one is diabetes, another one is cancer, then third one is the Alzheimer. Okay, so if you see here, that is the very that is not recent data. More than 4.2 million people death recorded in 2019. Okay, 8.9 million record. That is now that is almost more than 50 millions in 2020 due to the cancers, due to various kinds of food adulterations and other kinds of calamity. Okay, due to that is happening here. Okay. Alzheimer disease. Okay, basically in cancer, what there is a tumor develops in the human body. Okay, and that through CT scan all, and that will determine in the early stages that is not the person is not aware of that particular. Okay, and due to this, after that some stages, the person's health conditions is worse. Okay, but what happen if we detect that particular tumor development in the early stages, then it is easy to diagnose, that can be treated with the help of proper medications. Okay. So we need such kinds of system that can detect the cancers, Alzheimer disease in its early stages. Okay. Similarly here in Alzheimer disease, the persons is having the difficulty in remembering the some recent events or related terms. Okay. Basically that there will be memory loss. Okay. But that is not developed in only one day. But if some persons came to know that word after 2 or 3 years, then it is very difficult to treat that particular. Okay. So there is also requirement of early predictions of such kinds of things. Now let's come to the how machine learning will be helpful in such conditions for early predictions. Okay, and how that particular will helpful in the lowering the cost of medical processes. Okay, so basically what today we are living in a real world, and every being is surrounded by a different kinds of human being, and that learning from their experiences. Okay, so one question is arises here: can machine learn from experiences? Okay, like human being does. So the answer is what? Yes. Then another, if machine can learn from experiences like human does, then how? That obviously that question arises. So here, according to us, because we are working in that particular field, we can say that the machine learning giving that particular ability to learn from experiences to the machines, to the applications, to the softwares. Okay, machine learning giving that particular like human, that is natural to the human beings. Okay, now then what is machine learning? Already I told that machine learning giving the ability to learn from past experiences to machines, softwares, and applications. Okay, so machine learning is what? It is a subset of artificial intelligence, and goal of the artificial intelligence is to develop intelligent machines. They behave like human being, they act like human being, they think like human being, and they act like human being, or they reason like human being. So machine learning is a subset of AI, okay, that mainly concerned with allow computer to learn from their experiences of them. Machine learning was first introduced by the Arthur Samuels in 1959, and according to the Arthur Samuels, machine learning enables machines to automatically learn from the data and by time improve performances, learn from data and improve performances by time. Okay, and that performance improvement will be based on the experiences. Okay, and using that predict the new things. And most important thing is what? Here, machine learning enables machine to automatically learn, but here that learning is not explicitly programmed by the any programmer. Not explicitly programmed by the any programmer, that it learns from past experiences. Okay, later on what in the slides, I will show you that how that particular is different from traditional programming. Okay, now, so machine learning what? Teaches computer to do what comes that natural to the human beings or any kinds of animals. Okay. So in machine learning, what that teaches the or giving the ability to learn from itself through past data. Okay. So basically, what if we have the data and if we are not properly using it, then that is not of use. Then that not matter.
Others, sir.
Huh.
Others, sir.
Yes, sir.
Uh, some students are written something in chat box and the question.
Okay.
Go through that and
Okay.
you can you try to get the answer.
Okay. Let me check, sir. Maybe chat box. Okay, let me check, sir. Okay, so not audible, maybe. Okay, sir, there is no question. Okay, I will check that also. Okay, so if the data is not properly used, then that is a not of use. And for machine learning application that is needed to provide more data, so that will going to help you in better decision making capability. Okay, so basically what here the important role is the sample historical data, and that is known as the training data. So with the help of training data, machine learning algorithm build a mathematical model, and that particular mathematical model is used for the purposes of predictions. Okay, and that particular mathematical model is not explicitly programmed by any program. Okay, so here to generate the such kinds of prediction model, machine learning algorithm helps with the help of the historical data. So more data will going to provide that will going to give us the better performances. Okay, so that is the brief history of the machine learning and AI. Like in the first generation, that's like in 1990s era, the fraud detection, search algorithms. Okay, that is useful in the supply chain. In the second generation, from 2000 to 2010, that is for like recommender system. You have observed that in Amazon, Flipkart, like e-commerce website, whenever you are going to browse some particular product, okay, then that particular system will going to give you some recommendation about the product. Like those who buy XYZ product, they also purchase the product PQR. So such kinds of recommender systems. Also in the some songs apps, okay, media sites that will recommend you some system. Now in the third generation of modern machine learning, here that is used for speech recognitions, computer vision, and the translation purposes. And now here, like in 2020, deep learning based systems are used, and those are highly computational intensive. Now, already I told that what machine learning that is for giving the ability to learn from itself from past experiences. Then how it is different from the traditional programming? Okay, so here in the traditional programming, that manually created program that uses input data and run on a computer to produce the output. So you can see here we provide the data and program, and basically tell you what that particular will going to give you the output. Okay, but in the machine learning based system, we need to provide input and the program. Okay, along with the output, input and the program, and that particular program will find the intrinsic patterns in between the input and output. And further what? It generates a model. That is a significant difference between these two. Here it generates the output, whereas in the machine learning based system, as a output, what it provides the model, prediction model. And further that particular prediction model is used to predict future outcomes. Okay. So that is the basic differences here in between the machine learning and traditional programming. Okay. then how does machine learning works? Okay, so that is following the different pages, like identify the problem to be solved and create. First of all, what you need to define the objective for which purposes you are trying to develop that particular. Then accordingly, this you have to collect the data, past experiences, like collect the data from hospitals, health insurance company, or other, based on the what for which you are trying to develop the application. Okay, collect the data set. Then thereafter what? Prepare the data. Okay, that is the very crucial steps. Here are some, like you have to remove the outlier, noise, or you have to pre-process it. Then thereafter what? Select the algorithm. Okay, for which that is used for the training purposes. Depending on what kind of applications you are developing. Suppose that if you are developing a supervised learning base, you have the labeled data. Then what? You have to select the supervised learning algorithm, classification algorithm. And suppose that if you have unstructured data, you have unlabeled data, then what? You need to select a unsupervised learning algorithm, clustering algorithm. Okay, and if you have the time series data, then what? You need to select the time series algorithm. Okay. Now, after selecting the algorithm, you have to input the training data, collected data, pre-processed data to the algorithm. Okay, and to train the model. After successive training, then what? You can test the effectiveness of that particular trained model. Okay, and then further after that, what? You can integrate that particular model, or you can publish that trained model, or you can deploy that particular in the client side, that particular generated model. So that is the general working of machine learning. So basically here, that as I depicted with the help of diagram. First of all, what? You need to provide the input from the data. You have to extract various kinds of features. Okay. Okay. Then feature selection may be taking place. Select the algorithm. Okay. Then generate the model. That is basically training of the model. Okay. Then thereafter what? In this, take the input, extract from the input, select the features, and then input that particular. So that will be predicted here. So you will get the predictions for that particular input. Okay. Now, so here, like in this, there is a data set. So here, prediction model generated by the machine learning algorithm based on the past experiences. So based on this, that particular data, the model, that is about decision tree model. Decision tree model. That is then generated by the C4.5 algorithm. Okay. That other trees are also there, like car. Okay. ID3, that you can use. Based on these past history, that particular tree generated. That is the sample tree. Okay. That is not full tree. Okay. That is only for the purposes of demonstration. No. Okay. So what I told, that what more data you will provide, the system will going to give you the better result. Okay. So basically what now we are talking about the machine learning, but there are some related terminologies are there, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, okay, artificial neural network. So here basically AI is the umbrella term. Okay, the various terminology comes under that particular, like machine learning, deep learning, neural network. AI that makes possible for machines to learn from experiences. And machine learning is the what? Science of getting computers to act without being explicitly programmed. Okay. And machine learning is subset of AI. Then deep learning, that is the subset of machine learning here. And deep learning is just subset of machine learning that has network capable of learning supervised from data that is structured or unstructured. Okay. So like in machine learning algorithm, you have to first extract the features, and then you have to give input that particular to the machine learning algorithm. But in deep learning algorithm, what like CNN, that it automatically extracts the feature from the unstructured data, from the images, from text. Okay, and then further after feature learning, then thereafter what it do classifications. Okay, ANN. Okay, basically deep learning is based on the ANN. So ANN is an interconnected group of nodes, and basically what that mimics the functionality of human brain. Okay, so ANN is an interconnected group of nodes inspired by an simplification of neuron in the brain. Okay, so these are the four terminology. Recently, those are used in the digital health technology. Okay, precision health technology. Okay. So now next is machine learning life cycle. Already in the process I discussed, but in the previous slides I have not used the proper terms. So machine learning life cycle, that is composed of these pages. The first page is gathering the data from the various sources. For the digital health technology, the data gathering through the various kinds of apps, various kind of wearable gadgets, devices, okay, or smart IoT devices. After gathering the data preparations, okay, here some statistical analysis is done, okay. Then thereafter, data wrangling. The data wrangling is the process of cleaning the data, selecting the variable to use. Okay, like that selecting the variable means maybe in some like gene expression data. Here, the number of attributes are very high, like maybe 10,000, maybe 50,000. Okay, but what happen if you will going to work on the 50,000 of the data? Then it will very time consuming. Maybe 80% for some the data set, 80% of attributes are not having much significance in that. So we need to select the appropriate set of attributes here. Okay, so that what the time complexity and the space complexity of such kind of applications will be reduced. So here in the data wrangling, what cleaning the data, selecting the variable to you means attribute selection, feature selection. Okay, that is the task is carried out here. So here today, like different methods are available for feature selection, like the traditional like PCA, but nowadays various kinds of algorithms are used, like PSO, genetic algorithm, gray wolf optimization methods are used for the purposes of feature selection. So after feature selection, what transform the data into the proper format according to the applications you are using. Like if you are using Python, then what you need to convert that particular data into CSV format. Okay. Suppose that if you are using RapidMiner, then Excel input also allowed. Okay, CSV input is also allowed. Okay, if you are using a Weka, R, so according to the application you are using, you need to convert the data into its proper format, its suitable format. So after data wrangling, the data analysis and model training is done. Okay, so in data analysis and model training, you need to select the machine learning technique, like according to your problem statement. If it is supervised learning based application you're developing, then you need to select the classification algorithm. If your output is numeric, not categorical, then what you need to select the regression algorithm. Okay, if your data is unlabeled, then what you need to select the clustering algorithms. Okay, and if you want to find out the association between the various kinds of product, so you need to select the association mining algorithm. Okay, after selecting the algorithm, you need to train the model based on the pre-processed data. Okay, so after generating the model, you need to test the effectiveness of the model, how much that is accurately it is predicting. Okay, so here you can test the model by applying the test data set, okay, whose class level are already known. Okay, then you can compare the predicted value and the actual outcome of the input instances. Okay, there are so many performance matrices are used here, like basically confusion matrix is used, and based on this the various parameters are calculated, like accuracy, precision, recall, sensitivity, specificity, etc. Okay, and after if the performance is acceptable, then what? That will be deployed in the client side. So that is the overall life cycle of machine learning. Okay, and that is continuous process. Okay, more data will come. You need to retrain that particular. Then only your model will be effective. So machine learning algorithms are categorized into two categories basically here. One is supervised learning and another one is unsupervised learning. Example of unsupervised learning is clustering, and examples of categories of supervised learning algorithms are classification and regression. Okay, so in unsupervised learning algorithm, you need to provide only input data. Okay, but in supervised learning algorithm, you need to provide both input as well as output data. Input as well as output data. So level of the data set you need to provide. Okay, like here one example is given here. That is the data set. You can, these are the attribute 1, that is the attribute 2, that is attribute D, and that is the class level. So that is the output here. Okay, that is the output here. And from A to AD, these are the inputs given. Okay, so what I told you in the previous slide, in supervised learning algorithm, label data is provided. Here you can see that is learning from the labeled data, whereas unsupervised learning, that is learning from unlabeled data. For unsupervised learning, you have to only give d-dimensional data set as an input, whereas in the supervised learning algorithm, you need to give d-dimensional data set along with the class label of each and every instances. Okay, so that it need to provide. That is the basic difference between the supervised and unsupervised learning algorithms. That is same thing is shown with the help of simple workflow. In the supervised learning, you can see here these are the inputs and level of the various samples are given here. Okay, here 3 categories of symbols are there: hexagon, triangle, and square. Okay, that is given input to the machine learning algorithms. And whenever the new samples is given as an input to the prediction model, that is predicting that the first sample is square and the second sample is triangle. Okay. Unsupervised learning, here only unlabeled data are given. You can see here no labeling of the data is given input to the prediction model. Okay, machine learning model. Okay, and it is generating a prediction model. Okay, and then it groups the input instances. Okay, whatever. So you can see here the unlabeled data are grouped by the given algorithm in 2 categories. That you need to specify that particular. In the various algorithm, you need not to specify. They are according to the similarity and dissimilarity of the various instances, various samples, it automatically categorize a group together. Okay. So in clustering algorithm, the samples, those who belongs to one cluster or one group, are more similar as compared to the instances in the other groups. So that is about the unsupervised learning. Okay. Now, example of classification algorithms. Okay. So these are the various classification algorithms like decision tree, decision stem, naive Bayes, Gaussian naive Bayes, Bernoulli naive Bayes, okay, k-nearest neighbor support vector machine, etc. Example clustering algorithm. Suppose that if you are trying to develop a clustering algorithm or application for unsupervised learning based, where from the unlabeled data, then you can use the k-means clustering, k-median, k-shift clustering, k-mode, fuzzy k-mode, etc. Okay, and the last category is that is regression analysis. Here for regression best method you can use linear regression, polynomial regression, Poisson regression, support vector regression, ridge regressions, elastic net regressions. So these are the different kinds of algorithm in each category, like classification, clustering, and regression analysis. Okay. Now, okay. So these are the some real world applications. Machine learning used in computational finance, for credit scoring algorithm at trading, for image processing, like for face recognition, motion detections, object detections. Okay. for computational biology or actually in the medicines that is used for the purposes of tumor detection, early tumor detections, drug discovery, DNA sequencing analysis. Similarly here for energy productions, the machine learning is useful for price and load forecasting. Okay. Also in the aerospace and manufacturing, the machine learning is used for the purposes of predictive maintenance. Okay. Like Boeing company, they are using such concepts. Okay. For natural language processing, that is used for the purposes of spam detection, text plagiarism detection, or other activities such as like emotion recognitions, sentiment analysis. So these are the potential applications of machine learning. Now, the popular machine learning software tools. Okay. So I am listing here the various kinds of tools, those which are useful for machine learning implementation. Okay. With then okay. So here you can use scikit-learn. Okay. And that is also used in the various kinds of operating system like Linux, Mac OS, or Windows. That is free available. Okay. Here you can perform the activities like classification, regression, clustering, pre-processing, model selection, or actually here dimensionality reduction. That is actually here feature selection. Feature selection purposes. PyTorch, that also you can use in all the operating systems. That is written in C++ CUDA. Okay. Also, the same activity you can perform here with the help of the various kinds of machine learning libraries. TensorFlow, that also you can use in all the operating system. Okay. Through which you can develop like image classification system like Weka. Okay. For beginners user, those who want to implement the various kinds of applications, you can use that particular, that is GUI based. You need not to write the code here. Simply for that is for the beginners. Okay. You can use Linux, Mac OS, or Windows for the purposes of classification, regression, clustering, data visualizations, and for performing the activity like association rule mining. Now, other tools are like you can also use Google Colab, that is freely available. Okay. And you can implement all kind of classification, clustering, or deep learning, machine learning activities here. Algorithm you can include. Apache Mahout, that is also you can use in the different operating systems. Okay. For the purposes of regression, clustering, recommender system. Okay. Across.NET, similarly you can implement the classification, regression, clustering, hypothesis testing, kernel method, image and audio signal analysis. Okay. Now, RapidMiner, that is also a GUI based tool. You need to use the various kind of applications here. Okay, of that particular. Simply you need to drag and drop the various symbols given for data load, for model selection, for performance analysis, and then what you need to connect all these boxes. Okay. So also what, by using the RapidMiner, you can perform the classification, regression, okay, data pre-processing, data visualizations, and data classifications. So these are the popular machine learning tools. Now, so what I discussed till now, the basic concept about the machine learning, okay, and what are the different kinds of machine learning algorithms. And suppose that someone is new, okay, and trying to do some research work or project works in this, they can use the given tools like RapidMiner, R, Python, okay, PyTorch, Weka, Nine, etc. Okay. Now let's come to that how we can develop digital health system with the help of machine learning. So basically my focus is here one of the chronic disease, that is diabetes. Diabetic prediction system using machine learning. So everyone knows that what diabetes is a disease that occurs when blood glucose, also called blood sugar, is too high. Okay, so here blood glucose is a main source of energy for every human being, and that is coming from the food, whatever we consume. Okay, so in this in diabetes, insulin, a hormone made by the pancreas, helps glucose from food get into your our cells to be used for the purpose of energy. Okay. So diabetes can lead to, if some person is suffering from diabetes and that is not properly treated, then what happening in this case? It can lead to the chronic damages of various kinds of tissues, especially eyes, kidneys, heart, blood vessels, and nervous system. So what that is very much needed to taken care of if some person is suffering from the diabetes. Okay. Basically, what after so many months or years, a person is aware of that. Oh, I am suffering from this. Okay. But if in early stages, if it is diagnosed, then what happen in this case? That can be cured. Okay. Better way treated that way. Okay. So here the machine learning may be helpful in early predictions of such with the help of various kinds of wearable gadgets. Okay. Now, the general symptoms of diabetes include like increased hunger, increase in thirst, weight loss, frequent urination, blurry vision, extreme fatigue, okay, sore. Okay, so these are the general symptoms of diabetes. Now, and these symptoms or the main cause of the diabetes is what? Development of living standards. So diabetes is commonly increasing commons in people's daily life. So in medicine, the diagnosis of diabetes is according to the fasting blood, okay, measurement. Okay, glucose tolerance and the random blood glucose level, through which that is diagnosed in the medicine. Okay. So the early diagnosis is what? Obtained, and the much easier we can control that particular. Okay. So situation will be more worse. So it is better to what? With the help of wearable gadgets, we can monitor that particular. Okay. So machine learning can help people make a preliminary judgment about the diabetic according to their daily physical examination data. Okay, and it can serve as a what? Reference for the doctor. And for, okay, so this way what? The better way that can be treated. Okay, and early prediction can be done. Now, so obviously what in home people with the help of a small device, so they are measuring that particular. But if how early prediction can be done with the help of machine learning. So here you can see here there is a simple application here. Here simply patients like plasma glucose concentration, blood diastolic blood pressure, okay, skin fold thickness, serum insulin, body mass index. Okay, given input to that particular system, and it will going to predict that whether that particular person is suffering from diabetes or not. So based on the given input, what that particular application suggesting that diagnostic suggests that what patient does not suffering from the diabetes. So one question arises, can I develop such kind of application? Can I develop such kinds of system? Can I develop such kinds of digital system? So my question is yes. So in the next upcoming slides, I'm going to show you that how you can train such kinds of system, which can help in the early predictions of such kinds of diseases. Okay, so primary requirement of if you're trying to develop a machine learning based system, then what? You need a data set, training data set. Okay, then only you can. So here we're going to use a data set that is for diabetes, that is having 9 attributes and 1 class level. So total 10. Okay, the attributes are actually what that reference data set is taken from Kaggle and UCI repository. Okay, now that is removed from the UCI repository, and that is PIMA Indian diabetic data set. Okay. Here attribute in that particular data sets are attribute are like number of pregnancy, that is collected from the women up to 21 years, at least 21 years. Okay. And that particular data set contains the several medical predictor variables such as like from the women, like number of pregnancy, plasma glucose concentration, okay, blood pressures, skin fold thickness, okay, 2-hour serum insulin, body mass index, okay, diabetic pedigree functions, and the age of a particular person. So and one target variable, that is class level, whether that particular person is suffering from diabetic or not, positive or not. So predictor variable include the number of this set of attributes and one predictor variable, target variable. Okay, based on this, we're going to train a particular model. Okay, so now here I'm going to show you that how you can develop such kinds of system. Okay, with the help of Python. Okay, so here, so training data set is PIMA Indian training data set, and suppose that someone want to develop their own system, then what you can collect such kinds of data or medical histories of patients from the some experts, okay, medical professionals, okay, and then thereafter you need to pre-process that particular data, remove the outliers, okay, remove the outliers, okay. You can treatment of missing values, treatment of extreme values, okay. Then thereafter what you need to do feature selection if needed, okay, feature selection. Then thereafter you can select the appropriate machine learning algorithm and then train the model. Okay. Now, so here next is, okay. So here I am going to tell you about by using the Jupyter notebook. Okay, not demonstrating here. Simply the codes are included in the slides. Okay, because lack of time, I simply pasted the codes in the slides. So open the Jupyter notebook. Okay, or suppose that you are having the you do not have the Anaconda or Jupyter notebook, then what, simply you go to the Google Colab, okay, and open that. After that, what the very first step is load dataset. Okay, so already in the pre-processing step, I told you that you need to convert the dataset into the suitable format. So here our dataset is in the CSV file, that is comma separated file, comma separated file. Okay, so here we're going to do loading the dataset with the help of Pandas library. Okay, so you need to use the read CSV function from here. Okay, so from Pandas, then that is the dataset name, that is you need to download from the Kaggle or UCI repository. These are the different attributes. Okay, that I already discussed about what is the description of these attributes. Okay, and that is the target attribute, that is the class level. You need to specify. Then give the dataset name that must be in your current directory. Okay, then name of the predictors attribute and the target attribute that you have to specify. So through which you can load the dataset into your application. Now, after that, suppose that if you want to see the what is the dimension of the dataset, okay, whatever you have loaded. Okay, so here there are 768 number of rows are there in that particular loaded dataset, and 9 numbers of attributes are there in that particular dataset. Okay, including the target attribute. Okay, so that is the dimension of the dataset. And suppose that if you are trying to load the dataset from the URL itself, where that is in the website. So for this purposes, what you need to get the URL of that particular dataset. Okay, link of that particular dataset. Okay, specify the link of that particular dataset. Okay, then okay, the attributes. Okay, and then you have to read the file from that particular URL. So it will also going to show you that. Okay. Now, suppose that if you want to understand your data with descriptive statistics, okay, like you want to view the dimensions of your data set, review the data set of your attribute in your data, summarization of and distribution of the instances across the classes. Okay. You want to show the statistical measures of that particular, okay, understand the relationship in the various kinds of attribute like correlation analysis that you can show. Okay, so here, suppose that if you want to show the first 20% of the data, first 20 sample of the data. So for that purposes, what? First of all, what you need to load the data set. Then thereafter, what you can use the data function to show the first 20 sample of the data set. Okay, and then further you can print the first 20 sample. So you can view the first n number of rows of your data using the head functions with the help of pandas. Okay. Now, okay. So here already I shown you that how you can display the shape of the data set. Okay, through that data.shape to print the dimension of the data set. Okay, now suppose that if you for the statistical purpose or other you want to analyze each and every attribute, and if you want to show the data type of each and every attribute. Okay, for that purpose, so what you need to use the data.dtypes from the panel. So through which you can see the attributes of each and every predictor attributes. So here, if you print that particular, then what you can see the most of attributes, predictor attributes are of integer types. Okay, and two of the attributes like mass and pedigree function, that is of type float. Okay, and that is the obviously the class is okay. Here 0, 1, 1 that is taken. Okay, now suppose if you want to show the statistical summary of your data set, like mean, standard deviation, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, max, etc. So for that, for this, you have to use the data.describe. Okay. From Pandas, you have to use that particular describe function. Okay, then print description. Okay, that will be printed, and then that will going to show you the following measures: mean, standard deviation, okay, minimum value in that particular attribute, okay, maximum value. So in this what the mean of that plasma will be 120.895. Okay, maximum value of the blood pressure is 120. Okay, likewise other attribute value also you can see. Okay, through which what you can through describe function what you can review the statistical summary of your data set. Okay, that is very much essential for the pre-processing purpose, through which you came to know that what whether there is outlier in the data set or not, or is there any extreme values available or not in your data set. Okay. If you come to know that what you can pre-process, and because what those performance that existence of outliers, extreme values, okay, missing values, those which affect the performance of the data set. Now, class distribution. Okay, that is also very much essential here. Okay, because what we know that the decision will be always based on the majority. Okay, that is biased towards the majority. So here you can see one class having 500 number of samples and another class having 268 number of samples. Okay, so obviously what if will not going to treat that particular, then what happen in this case, that maybe in some scenario, in some event, that system which having one class 500 sample and another class 268. So that will maybe biased towards the class 0. The samples those belongs to class 0. Okay, so basically what, with the help of class distribution, okay, we'll come to know that whether that particular data set is balanced or not. Okay, whether that imbalance issue is there or not in the data set. Okay, so that can be determined with the help of, okay, first of all, you read the data set. Okay, then with the help of group by function, you can determine the class distribution in the data set. So first of all, what, data dot group by, okay, class, okay, and then set. So that will whenever we're going to print that particular, give you that. Okay, so here that is biased towards class 0. So you need to treat that particular. Okay, so there are so many techniques are there, like oversampling that can be oversampled that particular minority class. Okay, oversampling of that minority class, that can be done. So some techniques are like Ismote that someone can use to oversample that particular. So these studies are very much helpful or essential for developing a efficient machine learning based system. Okay, now one more pre-processing is correlation analysis. So correlation between attributes can be determined with the help of that data dot correlation. So here Pearson correlation is used. So basically here the correlation refers to the relationship between the two variables, like one attribute to another attribute. Okay, so that study that give us the relationship between the two variables and how they may or may not change together. If we are changing one variable, then what, that is what affecting the other attribute also. So we can determine that particular relationship with the help of correlation analysis. So here in this calculating the correlation, Pearson correlation coefficient is used. Okay, so simply what you need to use correlation, and you have to specify the method for correlation. So you can find it, what are the different methods, and accordingly you can check that one. Okay, and that is available in the Panda. Okay, further what, whenever you are printing that value after calculating that particular, so it will going to generate such kinds of table matrix. Okay, so correlation between this attribute to this attribute is 1. Correlation between plasma to plasma is 1. Okay, similarly from age to age correlation is 1. Okay, and here others like from body mass index to skin thickness, that is these two attributes, skin thickness and the body mass index, they are correlated, that is 0.393. Okay, minimum is 0 and maximum is 1. Okay, so you can determine, you can perform the various kinds of study with the help of correlation analysis, how the variables, how the predictor attributes are related to each other. Okay, now, so after correlations analysis, okay, now the data visualization. Okay, other different kinds of graphs you can show. So here I shown histogram. So basically what, histogram group data into bins and provide you the count of the number of observations in each bin. Okay, so first task is here, first of all you read the data set, then thereafter data.hist. Okay, that here the data is loaded, then using that particular hist function of the Pandas, you can display that particular. Okay, so here that is generated, then with the help of pyplot that you can show that. Okay, so it is showing the various histogram of each and every attribute, like age, that is the histogram of age. Okay, the histogram of class, histogram of mass, number of pregnancies, okay, plasma levels, pedigree functions, okay, blood pressures, skin thickness, and the test. So you can visualize using the that particular step. Okay, after loading the data set. Now, another kind of visualization you can show that is scatter plot. Okay, so scatter plot can be shown with the help of scatter matrix. Okay, through which you can develop. So that. So here that is showing the scatter plot in between the various kinds of attributes. Like here, class 2 pregnancies, class 2 plasma level, class 2 pressures, okay, class 2 skin thickness, and so on. Okay, so you can show the scatter plot also. Now, next is after pre-processing, what we need to prepare our data for machine learning. Okay, for training the model, for generating the model, predictive model. Okay, so already I discussed up to the data read. Then thereafter what you can perform the pre-processing. So here I have not included the pre-processing steps. Okay, then thereafter what we need to divide the data set into two parts. One is training data set. So overall data set will be there. We need to divide that particular data set into two parts, training set and testing set. So that is here training set. Okay, so here suppose that maybe in the different configurations, maybe 80% data is used to train the data model and remaining 20% data is used to test the effectiveness of the model. So here we considered like 0.33% of the testing data set. So 0.33 data set percent of the data set is used for the testing purposes, and the remaining 67% data set is used for the purposes of training. So here I specified the size of the testing data set. Okay, so here using the train test split, okay, train test split function of sklearn, okay, we're going to divide the data set in the given configuration. Okay, so here xtrain, here in xtrain the predictor of the attributes are there. In xtest the class level is there. In in xtrain predictor attribute of the training set. In xtest predictor attribute or test set are there. In ytrain, okay, class level of xtrain data set for each and every sample, and in ytest class level of xtest samples. Okay, and the test site that is specified is 0.33, and the remaining will be considered in the training data set. Then thereafter what I use the model. Okay, from sklearn you can use the logistic regression and other machine learning algorithms. Okay, so here I assigned the model, I selected that particular model, then I am training the model with the help of fit function. Okay, so in the fit model.fit you have to specify the predictor attributes and the associate class level. Already I told you there, here predicted attributes are there in the xtrain and the corresponding class levels are there here, or target attributes are here in this. So predicted attributes are in xtrain, and in ytrain target attributes are there. Target classes are there. Okay, or class level is there specified in this. So what I given training data set and the associated class level. Okay, so after that a model is generated. Okay, then from the generated model we are testing the effectiveness of that particular model simply by giving the test data set and associated class level. Okay, and then further what we can calculate the accuracy of the model. Okay, later on what in the upcoming slides I will show you that how the confusion matrix is used to compute the accuracy of the classification model. So this way what you can train your machine learning algorithm. Now, here for training and testing, there are the different methods are there. Like in the previous slide, I shown you that the training testing is splitting method. Okay. Another method is there that is called k-fold cross validation. K-fold cross validation. So in training testing method, the model is trained on the training data set and its effectiveness is tested in the testing data set. But in k-fold cross validation, all the data sets are divided into k samples, k parts. Okay, so okay, k parts, and suppose that like here I am considering suppose that 10-fold. So all the data sets are divided into total 10 okay. One fold is used for testing and the remaining fold are used for training purposes. In the next run, what? Again, second is used for testing and the remaining are used for training purposes. Okay. In third run, that particular will be used for testing and the remaining are used for training. So in the k-fold cross validation, each and every samples are used for training as well as testing. And in the final stage, the average of all are taken to compute the performance of the model. Okay, so here 10 folds you can use for different kinds of like 8-fold, 9-fold, okay, 7 or any number you can use. Okay. Then here logistic regression is again used, cross validation, model XY, and you have to specify the number of folds. Okay, then thereafter what you can print the accuracy of the model. So this is the implementation of k-fold cross validation. So my target is what? Simply I want to show you that only few number of statements you can develop such kind of application. Okay, there are no, you do not write thousands lines of code like in C, C++, Java to solve a particular kind of problem. You have to write the 500 line of code. But here you have to specify only a simple statement to generate that particular. So that is not much complicated. But for this, you need you have to must have the basic idea and understanding of the models and the pre-processing, feature selection, feature extraction, like concepts. Then that will be very much easy. Now, so after that, what generating the model? Suppose that if you want to generate the confusion matrix, okay. So here after fitting the model, okay, and generating the class level of testing data set, you can generate the confusion matrix, and the confusion matrix is generated based on the outcome given by the model on testing data set and the actual value. So these are the class level predicted by the model, and these are the known values. Okay, based on these, the confusion matrix are generated. Okay, and based on the confusion matrix, you can compute the various kinds of parameters like classification, accuracy, recall, precision, sensitivity, specificity, false predicted value, okay, etc. Okay. So basically here you can determine the here in the confusion matrix, like here actual values are there, predicted values are there, and here actual values are there. Suppose that is 0 class, that is 1 class. Actually that is 0 and that is the predicted 0. 0 and that is predicted. So 141 number of samples are actually 0 and that is predicted by model as a 0. Okay. Actually that is 0 and that is predicted. 21 number of samples are actually 0, but that is predicted as 1. Okay, and so on. So through which you can determine the accuracy. So accuracy of that particular model, that will be 141 plus 51 divided by 141 plus 21 plus 41 plus 51. Okay. So you can determine that through the help of confusion matrix. Later on, what through the confusion matrix, I will show that. Okay, and based on the confusion matrix, suppose that if you want to display the classification report, like you want to display the precision, recall, F1 score support, then what you need to use that classification report, and that will be generated with the help of actual output of the instances and the predicted outcome of the model. Okay, and that can be predicted and that can be shown with the help of print function. Okay, so that will going to show you the performance or classification report of the your generated prediction model. Okay, now so here I shown with the help of logistic regression. Okay, now suppose that if you want to change the classification method, only in the one place you need to change that particular, in one or two places. Okay, not in much cases. So here suppose that I want to develop a diabetes prediction model with the help of k nearest neighbor classification, KNN classifier. Okay, classification algorithm. So what to do? You need to select the KNN classifier here. In the previous cases, what here I initialize, that is the logistic regression. So in this place, what you have to select the KNN, k nearest neighbor classifier. So here I selected, and then thereafter what the rest of the steps are same. Only the changing is in that particular statement. Okay, k nearest neighbor classifier. Okay, and then rest. Okay. So in the previous one, the performance of the algorithm is 76.95. Okay, when I use logistic regression, but when I use k nearest neighbor, its performance is about 72.65%. You can multiply that particular with 100, then what that become 72.65550 and so on. Next, suppose that if you are trying to develop a diabetes prediction model, you want to do a case study for diabetic prediction using another classifier, then what you have to change that particular statement. Your model will be initialized to Gaussian Navier. Okay, and that Navier, that is based on the concept of conditional probability, that based on the Naive-Bayes formula that everyone studied in school and 10+2. Okay, that will based on somehow in that particular formula. So you have to initialize the model to Gaussian Navier, then thereafter you have to fit that particular model, and furthermore that will going to give you. So here if I am using here, the performance is about 75.51% accuracy of that particular model. So main target is what we need to develop a system that having high accuracy. Okay, still in the 20 in that particular Navier-Bayes based diabetes prediction system that is giving wrong answer in 25% cases. So through the help of various kinds of optimization algorithm, or simply by giving qualitative data to the model, you can enhance the performance of the model. Okay, here to like different kinds of optimization algorithm like genetic algorithm, particle swarm optimizations are used for the optimization of the outputs. Now simply by classification and regression tree for that particular purposes, if you want to draw the CRT, CRT, classification and regression tree. So you have to initialize that particular decision tree classifier. Okay, then you can feed the model. Model.feed. You have to specify here X10. Okay, then thereafter its class level. Okay, Y-train. You have to specify. Then thereafter what? You can compute the classification report or accuracy, etc. So here for the card, it is giving 69% accuracy, 69.26% accuracy. Okay. So simply what in the few modifications, you can generate the different types of machine learning algorithm. Okay, and all these algorithms are available in the sklearn here. So you must include that particular. Suppose that if you want to import the Gaussian naive, so here the changing will be Gaussian naive. Okay, in the previous one, if you want to see k nearest neighbor, so from sklearn, okay, you need to include that particular neighbors, import k nearest neighbor classifier. sklearn.naive import Gaussian naive. That you need to change that particular statement. sklearn.tree import decision tree classifier. Okay. Now, so only in the few statement. Actually, what my target is here that those who are new or those who are okay, they may mind make up that I can develop such kinds of intelligent system. Okay, such kinds of digital health system. Okay, using machine learning simply by changing few lines in the codes. Okay, only few lines. Okay, so here suppose that if you are new to that particular field and if you want to develop such kinds of system, okay, and obviously for developing such kinds of system expertise is needed. But for beginners also, simply by changing few lines, you can do that. Okay. So that is my target actually here. Okay, so what I shown here, I shown you that how you can generate such kinds of model using logistic regression, then k nearest neighbor, simply by changing the 2 to 3 lines. Okay, Gaussian naive, then cart decision tree actually. Next one is support vector machine. For support vector machine, you have to use the SVC. For this, you need to include that particular from sklearn, okay, .sbm import SVC. And then further that what here like model.feed that I have omitted from that particular. Full code is not there. Full code is already I discussed in the model learning. Okay, here specify X train and then Y train. Okay, then thereafter what you can generate the classification accuracy or other classification reports. Okay, so here for support vector machine, the accuracy of the model is 65%, 65.10 approx. So till now what the overall the best accuracy achieved on the discussed algorithm is given by logistic regression. Okay. Now, so this way what you can develop diabetic prediction system with the help of different machine learning supervised algorithm. Okay. Now, next case study. So basically what the data set is collected from the female of 20 and above age group. Okay. From the different medical practitioners in that particular domain. But what happened, so how we can develop a system through some data here, like some features like pregnancy, blood pressure, skin thickness. Okay, that is calculated, that is extracted from the, and that is filled in the different files. So first task is data collection, then thereafter feature extraction. Okay, then data pre-processing, then machine training is done, and further that, okay, that model is tested, and then that will be deployed. So here the data is collected, okay, from the different medical practitioners. But what like in image classification system, that is not easy to collect the data. So in my next case study, I will tell you that how you can develop machine learning based system or deep learning based system with the help of images. Okay, so for that particular purposes, I have taken here Alzheimer disease. Okay, so Alzheimer disease is a neurological brain disorder in which the death of brain cells causes memory loss of particular person. Okay, death of a brain cells causes the memory loss of a particular person. So Alzheimer disease is what? Most common form of dementia. Okay, and here a group of disorders that impair mental functioning. And that particular disease is progressive and irreversible. Okay. So in the brain disorder, the earliest symptoms, along with the gradual decline of other intellectual and thinking ability. Okay. So basically here, in the simple words, what we can say that Alzheimer's disease, in this word, the person having memory loss. That I already shown in the very first slide, if you remember, where I shown the cancer, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes. Okay. Okay. Now, so the first person who described that particular is Dr. Alois Alzheimer, and the first patient, Auguste Deter, okay, who is infected from that particular disease. Okay. Now, so these are the Alzheimer diagnosis tests, like through medical history, through physical examination, through neuropsychological testing, through brain image scanning, that can be diagnosed. Okay, through medical history, like an interview is conducted and some questionnaire is given to identify whether that particular person having memory loss problem or not, or to identify the past medical problems. Through physical examinations, that it include the evaluation of hearing and the sight, heart, lungs, as well as temperature, blood pressure, etc. Neurological testing, okay. Here, doctor uses the variety of tools to access the memory, problem solving, attention, vision, motor coordinations, abstract thinking of the patient, etc. For the neurophysiological testing, brain image scanning through the MRI and CT scans. Okay, CT scans look at the structure of the brain and that are used to rule out whether there is a brain tumor or not, or whether there is a blood clot in the brain of the patient or not. Okay, because what? Due blood clots and all that somehow related to the memory losses. So these are the Alzheimer diagnostic tests. Okay, actually not I am not a doctor for such medical. Okay, but I collected from the different websites all such things. Okay, now early sign and symptoms. So symptoms are like withdrawal from social activities, confusion with time and location, difficulty in completing familiar tasks. Okay, misspelling problem, difficulty in solving problems, having the memory loss, difficulty in pronouncing some words, okay, trouble with image and spaces, okay, there is no coordination, poor judgment, okay, and unfounded emotions. So these are the symptoms. Okay, so here the different categories are there, like very early signs and symptoms, okay, memory problem, okay, sign of cognitive loss. In the mild dementia sign, here, like memory loss worsen and the change in the other cognitive abilities, which are evident. In the moderate dementia, the damage occurs in the area of brain that control language, reasoning, sensory processing, and consciousness thought. In the very mild dementia, this is another category. In this, what brain tissue has a shrink significantly, and people with very mild dementia cannot communicate and are completely dependent on the others. They cannot do their activity without anyone's help. So these are the different early signs and symptoms of a Alzheimer patient. Okay. Now, Okay, so basically what my target that in earlier diabetes prediction system I shown a applications, and next I explained how you can develop also. So here you can see in the right hand side there is a UI, user interface. Here if you input here that is the input. You choose a image for what? Brain or brain MRI or CT brain MRI. You select that particular, so that will be uploaded in this. Okay, and then whenever you will going to click on the okay, and then one given the input, and then click on the submit, that will going to predict the type of Alzheimer or whether that particular person is suffering from Alzheimer or not. Okay, and so through it. So here what, if such kinds of systems are developed, then what, a simple person can also know that simply by inputting the brain MRI, okay, can know that whether that particular person is having symptoms of Alzheimer or not. Okay, in earlier cases, what the doctors analyze the brain MRI, then they conclude that whether that person is suffering from this. But through machine learning based, deep learning based system, even anyone can, through the brain MRI image, they can conclude that, oh, that person having symptoms of Alzheimer. Okay, so that is, so actually what that is developed by one of the my master's student, okay, MCA student. So I included that particular slide here. Okay, so such kinds of application is possible with the help of deep learning method. You need not to extract the picture of the image. See, that is done by the CNN itself, the deep learning algorithm. That itself, first it will going to extract the pictures from the images, brain MRI image, then it generates the classification model, and then that particular classification model is used for the further prediction task. So let me show you that how that can be done. Okay. So here the program is structure for that brain MRI dataset will be divided into two test dataset and actually training dataset. Okay, non-test dataset that will be divided into train as well as validation dataset. All the brain MRIs are categorized into four categories here: non-dementia, mild dementia, moderate dementia, and very mild dementia. These are the four categories here. Okay. Okay. Here in the very first stage, the CNN model, convolutional neural model is created. Then thereafter, CNN model is trained using these training data set. And then thereafter, the generated model will be validated with the help of validation data set. And then finally, model will be tested and the user interface is designed with the help of the API from CNN Python file or whatever that you are using. From that, you have to generate the API, and that API will be integrated to the user interface, and then further you can do the prediction activity. So here the main contribution is the heart of that particular application is the convolutional neural network, CNN. Okay, so CNN stands for convolutional neural network, and it is the one of the algorithm of deep learning as a development of the multi-layer perceptron, and which is designed to process the two-dimensional structure as a image. So here input given is the image. So that particular CNN, okay, do image processing activity to extract the picture, and after picture extraction, what it do the classification. So image processing is applied to process image at a different resolution, and the output of each image is processed and used as an input to the next layer. So different CNN layers will going to use here. So the architecture of CNN can be divided into first part is about picture extraction, and the second part is for classification. Okay. So the architecture of CNN can be divided into picture extraction and classification. Now, in the picture extraction section, there are the three operations will take place. Three operations will perform. First one is convolution operation. Second one is ReLU, that is rectified linear unit, and the third one is pooling. And you can here multiple CNNs are used. Okay. So here the steps are convolution, input image, feature detector, then feature map, ReLU activation, then pooling will be done. Feature map pooling. Here either you can do the max pooling or min pooling, then pooled feature map, and that will okay. Then finally that is flatten. Okay, and then the full connection plating as a input, and the full connection NN will be generated, and that is used for the purposes of prediction. Okay, so these are the implementation process: setup, initialize the network, convolution operation, then pooling, then flatten. Okay, that is fully connection. Okay, compiling CNN. Okay, and different okay CNN layers you can take here. Save the model, and then finally you can do the prediction. Okay, here these are the different data visualization. Okay, like different categories of Alzheimer's, like non-dementia, very mild dementia, and mild dementia. Okay, so like that. Now, how that can be performed? Okay, how that training can be done? So a computer read an image basically. So the image is broken down into the 3 color channels: red, green, and blue. Okay, and each of these color channels are mapped into the image pixels. So what that will be given input, the computer recognizes the value associated with the each pixel. Here, that is the actually image, that is the combination of pixels. Okay, and computer only recognizes those pixels and determine the various features there in that particular image. Okay. So if color image, then that is having 3 color channels. If black and white image, then that is having only 1 channel. Okay, and the remaining concepts are same for feature extraction. Okay. Now, what is convolution neural network? So convolution neural network, that is a like neural network, are made up of neurons with learnable weights and biases. And here in this, each neuron receives several input and take weighted sum over the time, and that will going to pass that particular to the activation function, and that is respond with an output. So in the convolution, 4 activities are performed: convolution, ReLU, pooling, and full connected. That is the fully connected layer. So a fully connected will that is in the last layer. So here 4 layers concept we can use for convolution. Okay, so let's see in the some slides. Okay, you can see how actually that feature extraction and the classification is taking place. So here suppose that 2 classes are used. One is for X. Okay, sorry. Oh. Okay. One is for this symbol, and then that is for 0. So here the multiple sample of X and zeros are there. X and nodes are there. So that is make to recognize from these set of pixels. So pixel wise, what there there will be dark. Wherever there will be pixel value, you can see black. Okay, in the where there is no symbol, there that is white. Goal is what? Here input signal look like previous image, and it has been before the image reference signals will be mixed onto convolved with the input signal, and the resulting output will be what? Signal is then passed on to the next convolution. Okay, so these set of samples are given input to the CNN. So 4 steps. Okay, first one is convolution. Okay, then ReLU, then pooling. Okay, then flatten. So here you have to take one filter. Okay, line up the feature and the images, multiply each image pixel with the corresponding feature pixel, and add the values, and then find the sum and divide the sum by total number of pixels in the feature descriptor. Okay, so here that particular is selected. So this one. So first value 1 with this one multiply, second -1 with second minus y, third -1 with third -1, this one with this with this. Okay, so in above image, what you have to multiply all such, and then final will be written. Okay, product will be written. Okay, in the next slide I will show. So second, this one is multiplied with this second value, and that will be shown here. It will be stored here. Similarly, third with this one, and so on. So multiply this with the existing image, and then product is stored in the another buffer feature image. Okay, and from the buffer feature image, we can find the sum, and then thereafter we divide that particular by the number of pixels in the feature descriptor. Okay, so all I multiplied here from here and here, then here that is the resultant buffer feature. Okay, now get the sum of all the elements and divided by name, because there are the 9 numbers of pixels are in this. Okay, so with this image what we completed the last two steps. Okay, sum and then division. We added the values which lead to the sum, and we then divided this number by the total number of pixels in the feature image. Okay, so when it is done, obtained is placed at the center of this. So resultant will be placed in the center of this, that I am going to show you in the next. So that will be placed in the center of this. Now next will be done here, that will be multiplied with the feature descriptor here that is shown in the previous slide. Again that will be convolved to the next, and the same will be carried out repeatedly unless or until what no more convolution is left. Okay, that can be done. So finally what then thereafter what after division here that is what 0.55 for that particular convolution. Okay, now so similarly what after that what you have to perform for the all the convolution, we get the all the convolution, so that particular matrix is shown. Okay, now so here we consider just one filter, and if it is a color image, then what you have to do for the all the filters. Okay, so similarly we will perform the same convolution with the every other filters to get the convolution of the filter. Okay, so similar way okay, that can be done for the all. Okay, then thereafter ReLU, if some feature value is greater than or equal to 0, then the value will be 86. If the value is negative, then that will be treated as 0. So the ReLU transform the function only activate a node if the node is above a certain quantity, while the input is below 0, then that will be considered as 0. Okay, so through ReLU that can be done. So you can see here, so wherever the positive value is 0, that will be 0.7. Okay, it's negative, so that will be okay. So that activation function is 0.1, so that will be same. Here in this 0.55, so that will be. So wherever minus 0.33, so ReLU that it is marking that is activating that is as 0. Okay, so the main aim of the ReLU is to remove all the negative value from the convolution, and all positive value remain the same, but all the negative value get changed to 0. As you can see here. Now that is you can perform for all the channels. Okay, for all the filter. So here 3 filters I used here. So for you can see here that is generated here. Now after that what we need to do pooling layer. Okay, so here for pooling in this layer we shrink the image stack into a smaller size, and pooling is done after passing through the activation layer. So here what you have to pick a window size, either that is usually 2 or 3. So here we choose 2. So here in this 2 that window size is 2. So you have to pull the maximum one. Okay, then thereafter from this we have to choose the max one. From this you have to choose the max one, and so on. So we took window size 2 to be 2, and we got 4 values to choose from that. And from those 4 values, we have to choose the maximum value. So here 0.7, 0, 0 and 1. So maximum is 1. So that is marked here. Similarly, we have to perform for all. So from 7 cross 7, that is shrink to 4 cross 4. Okay, after pulling. Okay, and that you have to perform for all the filters. Okay, same activity. Now that input will be given to the next convolution layer. Same convolution ReLU and pooling will be done. Okay, for each and every filters. Okay, same activity, whatever I discussed, convolution, ReLU and pooling. Okay, and after that what? After successive numbers of convolution, okay, suppose that is generated. 2 cross 2 is generated here. Now what? In the final page, that is flattened. So by using those, the last layer in the network are fully connected. So meaning that what? Neuron of the predicted layers are connected to every neuron in the subsequent layer. Okay, so basically what? That mimics the high level reasoning where all possible pathways from the input to outputs are considered. So here, that is Platon here. 1, 0.5, 0.5, 1, that 1 is here, then 0.5, then 0.5. So that is the feature extracted from that particular input image. So these are the features. These are the considered for that are extracted by the CNN. These features are extracted by the CNN. Actually, that is a fully connected layer in the final layer, where the classification actually happen based on these extracted features value. Okay. Now, so for X, these feature sets are generated, and for O, these feature sets are generated. For X, 1, first, 4th, 5th, 10th, wherever there is 1, that is used to classify. For 0, where there is 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 9th, and 12th elements are high. So wherever that will be considered as 0. That's all. Let me show you that how classification is done with the help of that feature extracted from the images with the help of CNN. Now suppose that is the image here. That is the image and the feature is extracted with the help of CNN. Now I am trying to predict whether that is a X or O. Okay. So feature extracted here. So from these, I get the sum of the elements. Okay, all the 5 elements wherever in the first, 4th, 5th, 10th, and 11th. Its sum is 4.5 and divided by 5. So its value will be 0.9 with respect to the vector X. Okay, feature descriptor of X. Similarly, same activity is done for the Y. Okay. Input image. So for input image. So for O or 0, we have to consider 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 9th, and 12th. 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 9th, and 12th. Okay. So here the value will be 0.51. So we have output H 0.51 with this table, and in the previous one that is 0.91. So probability being 0.51 is less than the 0.91. So the input instance that will be predicted as X. So we conclude that what resulting input image belongs to category X. So similarly, what you can use that particular kind of algorithm for different kinds of predictions. Okay. Now few slides are there. Okay, like performance evaluation, confusion matrix, table that is often used to describe the performance of the classification model or visualize the performance of the algorithm. That I already told. Accuracy, that is true positive, true negative upon all. True positive, true negative, false positive, and false negative. Precision will be calculated based on the true positive upon true positive plus false positive. Sensitivity will be computed based on the true positive upon true positive plus false negative. And specificity, true negative upon true negative plus false positive. Here in the next, that is same thing is shown. Okay. Like true positive, false positive, false negative. Already time is I have taken so much. Okay, so here same how to calculate that what is some percent is infected from the some disease. How to calculate the different parameters like sensitivity, specificity. Okay, precision that is shown here. Precision is here 0.8. Okay, accuracy 0.86 and so on. Okay. So this is the process here. Suppose that someone is trying to develop that. So first of all, what you have to define the problem, then prepare your data set, select the algorithm, then try to optimize your model, increase your accuracy and other parameters. Then you can deploy that particular model in the some client side. Okay. These are the potential these are the application of machine learning in healthcare, like identifying disease diagnosis. Here IBM Watson uses genomics is a prime example of how integrating cognitive computing with genome-based tumor sequencing. Drug discovery, here Microsoft using the ML-based technique for multiple initiative. Okay, for acute myeloid leukemia detection. Okay. Medical image diagnosis, Inner Eye, developed by Microsoft. Okay, which work on the image diagnostics tool for image analysis. Personalized medicine, here IBM Watson, oncology at the forefront of the movement of the leveraging the patient medical history to generate multiple treatment options. Similarly, here, somatics, okay, B2BC based data analytics company has released an ML based app to recognize gesture and which can make in our daily lives, allowing us to understand our unconsciousness behavior and make necessary changes. So these are the applications used by the developed by the different leading tech companies, which are based on the machine learning, deep learning, AI based on concepts. These are the challenges for the machine learning based application like data volume, data dimensionality reduction, data pre-processing, class imbalance issue, optimization of parameters for performance in implementation, and furthermore, what implementation of all of it's in augmented reality and virtual reality. These are the challenges. Okay, so thank you everyone. In this talk, I covered about fundamental of machine learning. Then I discussed about the diabetic prediction using machine learning, development of a digital health system with the help of machine learning, and another way what from raw images of brain MRI, how you can develop CNN based system for Alzheimer's disease predictions. Okay, so from my side that is over. If any question, please ask. Okay, over from my side.
Thank you, sir. I requested to all the participants, if they have any question, you can write in the chat box so that our expert can give the answer for you. If you have any doubt, can write in the chat box or you can raise your hand so that I can unmute you. And participant having any doubt about how the machine learning is implemented in the modern healthcare? Okay, if you have any doubt, then you can ask. Hello? Ajaz sir,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
voice is audible to you?
Yeah.
Any participant having any kind of doubt, please write in the chat box or you raise your hand. Otherwise, we conclude this session.
Actually, what one question is there from Dr. Sunita. Okay, here through drug development, what in the existing different kinds of available medications related, okay, chemicals, etc. Okay, you can find out the important features on that. Okay, so that attribute may be helpful in drug development for drug analysis, okay, in different kinds of medical related. Okay, so like that, what there is a some earlier what that I saw one paper, that is what they suggested that they reported that what one drug for Alzheimer's disease prediction. Okay, basically from natural herbs. Okay, with the help of machine learning and existing like that, what in our childhood we have seen that what our grandparents and that they have much knowledge of like natural herbs. In natural herbs, I am giving the example natural herbs, but we are not aware of what is the benefit of that particular herbs. Okay, but if it is the benefits and there will be encoded in the some export system, and that particular knowledge will be used for prediction of some other recognition, some natural herbs for drug development. So that kind of predictions can be done. So such kinds of relationship between the various kinds of natural herbs can be found. So in this way, what that can be helpful.
Thank you, Ajaz sir.